WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. And today I have Scapa from the independent bottler Gordon and MacPhail, a 2005 distilled, 2020 bottled, 201 bottles in total, single cask release. So, first of all, I want to talk about the packaging. I really like this packaging. So you can read the label on the front, you can read the label on the back. You open up the lid and you actually have a tiny little here opening in your foam. So the cork fits in there perfectly. Also down below you have a nice little opening here for the bottle. You actually have a little magnet in there where actually you can hold it. It's fairly stable. I mean, I don't think I could stand on it, but the bottle's not going to be damaged here. Minimalistic, but very, very effective. Well done, Gordon and MacPhail, for this type of packaging. I like. So what we have here is a single cask, a first fill bourbon cask, or bourbon barrel, and it's the Connoisseur's Choice. The Connoisseur's Choice, that's what this, I love the bottle as well. It says down here, let's see if I can show it to you here. The Pursuit of Perfection. And also, which is very, very nice, is this little label here. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Big, heavy, fat, but not too fat. Glass bottom, good size, well done, good cork, real cork as well. Very, very well constructed. And it feels like it has something here of value. Even the label, no unnecessary information. You have a little thing, you have tasting notes, you have what it is, you have the region, you have the batch, which is in this case 20/072. You have 201 bottles. You have the bottling date on the 1st of September 2020. You have the date it was then distilled. You have 55.4%, and it was a first fill bourbon barrel, cask number 479. All right, so this is actually aged 15 years old. Everything's on that label that you need to know immediately. Bam, you got it. I paid, or the price over here in Germany is 125 euros, and it's whiskey base number 174954. All right, very, very good. So over here in Germany, we do have the Scapa, which is the Arcadian, which is also called the Skurin. This is the no age statement, which was introduced in 2015. I do not have the Scapa Glanza, which is a peated, but what I do have here is a tiny little bit of a Scapa 16. So I'm going to compare the standard 16, which is no longer available, with 40%, versus the independent bottled 15-year-old here. And so this should be an interesting comparison to see if we can actually detect the distillery character or not. So my German video, I actually did the no age statement, and I decided this time to do the 16-year-old. So, first of all, the color. The first fill bourbon cask after 15 years is very, very light. This actually says here, somewhere I thought it said here, mit Farbstoff, which would means it actually has coloring. So, which would be a shame here. I don't see anywhere it says here, unfortunately, natural color. But hey, that's the way things were back then. It's interesting. 15 years and a first fill. This is very, very light. I'm going to say suspiciously light. All right, so if you take a look at this, first fill bourbon casks should give a little bit more of a color, I would suspect. I have a theory about the cask that they used. Now, on this bottle, it says here, carefully matured in our own casks with spirit entrusted to us from Scapa Distillery. So Gordon MacPhail have contracts with the Scapa Distillery. Scapa Distillery is the only distillery from Pernod Ricard that is not in the Speyside. Very unique. Scapa Distillery, as fun fact, Scapa Distillery actually has a wash still from the old Glenburgie Distillery They somehow, 1959, received this wash still from Glenbergie and still use it. It's a Lohmann still, which means actually there are columns, there are actually plates in there. These plates were removed in 1979. So it actually is a normal still, but it was originally designed as a Lohmann still, which means a combination of a coffee still and a normal pot still. So this cask really has made me think a little bit. All right, I'll tell you why. On my nose. On the nose, the first thing I get is pears. And then on top of the pears, I get a tiny, tiny little bit of like a seaweed type of salty moment. On top of that, I get a little bit of a brown type of almost too dark, almost burnt caramel. And then behind that, I get a type of grassiness, like a mate. There's a lot going on here. Unfortunately, it's all in a direction that I'm not really particular. It's not to my liking. It's not my wheelhouse. The 16-year-old, I'm not a big fan of the 16-year-old, to be honest. Shame on me. I know other people think it's some of the best whiskey ever made, which I do not agree with. Now, this is a lot sweeter. It feels on the nose, it's only 40%, a little bit smoother. And there's also a grassy type of seaweed saltiness involved here. Now, of course, Scapa is in the island of Orkney, and the distillery Highland Park was there basically for 100 years before Highland Park. They actually shared common owners for a while back then. I think it was after World War One. Today belongs, as I said, to Pernod Ricard. And it's very, very difficult to find any independent bottlings of Scapa, and therefore this is something some of the fans of Scapa really, really were looking forward to. So I'm going to say cheers, 55.4%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I must admit that this whiskey was surprisingly not alcoholic. There was no need to talk about the amount of burn going on in here. The 55%, you can realize you have alcohol in your mouth, but it's not at all distracting and it's not at all the problem. The problem is for me is this type of tanginess. It's like an herbal type of bitterness combined with a little bit of tartness together. It's it's a weird type of herbal tarty bitterness, and it's just not doing it for me. And I'm really where does it come from? I think it comes from the cask. I think they use a cask in which I'm going to use the word inferior. I'm sorry. Inferior bourbon was actually stored in it. Now, what do you mean with inferior bourbon? There is no inferior bourbon. Well, take Town Branch, which wasn't around 2005. But yes, there are. There are bottles of bourbon out there that are not as good as the other bottles of bourbon out there. And what I feel is this is almost like a supermarket type of 4-year-old type of thing that they did, and they used that barrel, brought it over to Scotland. They sold it to Gordon MacPhail, and Gordon MacPhail filled up this cask, and it was supposed to be a very special cask, but it tastes off, at least for me. I've tasted over 2,000 whiskeys by now. I've had quite a few different things. I haven't had that many Scapas. I mean, this is the third, fourth Scapa I've had. I'm not a big Scapa fan. I think it just might be my wheelhouse problem here. Other people are going to go and go, oh, this is fabulous. This is just right up my alley. It has an herbal, juicy funkiness and absolutely what we wanted. Not what I wanted. All right, let's try to go to the Scapa 16 real quick as a comparison, see if I can get the distillery character here. Much sweeter. It's closer. As I said, I did my German video with this one. It was off. I said they're adjacent to each other. They're not beside each other, not above and below, but adjacent. They're further apart. This is a little bit closer. There's also this weird type of herbal type of funkiness going on here. It's not a Springbank funkiness. It's a Scapa funkiness. It's an herbal type of tardiness. There's a lot of grassiness in here, a lot of the mate tea. If you like that, hey, go for it. But I'm not really a fan of grassiness, grass in my whiskeys. My problem. All right. So I'm going to just add a tiny little bit of water here. I'm going to take the 55.4%, maybe down to about 43, 45%. A unique nose. I'm going to try to remember this the next time I blind taste something, and it might be a Scapa. No, it's not totally off, but it's off by at least half. Cheers. It's almost a little bit like a resin, like a tree resin. Sap. I really can't put my finger on it exactly. I just know that I'm not a big fan of this bottle. I'm sorry. I'm going to give it a C-. Value for money. It's 125 euros. Now, this actually at the moment goes for more than that, even though it's 40%. And it's only 1 year older, but it's been discontinued. Discontinued things skyrocket in price. This was a single cask, 201 bottles. At the end of February 2021, where I actually did the video here, it's still available in a lot of online shops, which show that it wasn't a hyped bottle. No one's. We have bottles over here that are gone within minutes. Put a Bimber someplace online. Boom. Put an Artbag new online. Boom. Put some other things, Raze online. Cool. This was, oh, okay, yeah, I have that as well. All right, so not my cup of tea. So as I said, a C- here for taste and a D+ here for value for money. Personal opinion. Now, my question of the day is, do you know any other independent bottlers of Scapa? It could be a secret Orkney that really is Scapa. I'm going to say 99.999% of the time a secret Orkney is Highland Bark. But do you know any other independent bottlers that may have actually had a bottle here of Scapa and actually put the name on it? Would be interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, telling others, and maybe share the video or two with a friend or a colleague. All the best. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.